We're live from 304 Studios in Jonesboro, Arkansas. This is an STSPod.club production. I'm BT, and my co-host for the day is none other than Gene Jackson. How the hell are you, Gene?
I'm good, man. I totally had forgotten about our smooth jazz intro to Was It Really That Good? It's been a
Was
while.
you over there doing this?
Yeah.
And you smoked a cigarette before we started, and
I did.
all right. This
Something
is
like that anyway.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Episode 32 of Was It Really That Good? I wrote it down so I'd get it right. And this is episode 995 of STSPod.club. Gene, this is the first episode of Was It Really That Good that we've done in 2 years. Our last episode was Stan Fraser. And tell them how they can listen to all the episodes. What's the YouTube and how can they do that?
They are over on the Retro Wrestling Archive. It's youtube.com/@Retro Wrestling Archive. They are all there, along with about, I don't know, by now, almost 4,000 other wrestling videos. We've got podcast, we've got whole shows, we've got matches, all kinds of different things. Anything, if you like wrestling, by God, there's something for you over there. And if you can't find anything, then you don't like wrestling. You like sports entertainment, and fuck off somewhere else with that.
And they won't let us put that up. But you have just keep putting stuff up. I went to the page not this week, but last week, and saw some very old Memphis wrestling you're putting up. 1977, 78, 79, something
78
like that.
and 79. So the Retro Wrestling Archive is the most Memphis wrestling you can find in one place as far as whole episodes. We've got full episodes currently from 1978 up through 1997. Not saying every single episode is there, but every episode we can get our hands on is there. And as we're able to get more, we're adding them. Just like these, the ones that you tracked down for us for 1991, they're going up there. And then also people who want to join the Patreon can join my Patreon and get the $8 tier, where it includes the Google Drive, and you can go to the Mega Memphis folder, and there's some Memphis wrestling there that we can't put on YouTube, but it's all there in the drive for you to download and enjoy.
Oh, well, so I started in August of 78. So I'm really excited about going back and watching some of those shows and watching it as I remember it. I remember going to the show. I went to the show on a Friday night and then started watching wrestling that next Saturday. That next day, I was like, oh, Memphis Wrestling's on. I had seen it a couple times. I had been to my first live show was in 78, but my uncle had took me to a live show in Steele, Missouri at an old theater. But I was like 4 or 5, and he put me on his shoulders, and they started bleeding, and I started crying. So maybe that's why I don't like AEW anymore.
That could be part of the childhood trauma coming back there. It's fun, to go back and watch, especially like these 79 shows for you, shows that you were like have lived in your brain since back then. And you have certain memories of them. And then when you go back and watch them, it's not exactly the way you remember it. That's interesting to me sometimes, how our mind can kind of move some things around and change some things. And then you go back and watch it like, that's not exactly how I remember it, but okay.
There is all kinds of stuff out there, and we could get on a whole different type of podcast, but there's all kinds of things about memory. And one of my best things about memory is, remember the old thing, what's it called? Telephone, where you tell somebody something at the very front and you go all the way through the class, but they'll tell you like, what me and you see is two different things. You tell a story, it's a different story. But I think I used to tell a story that I was the worst when it came to describing stuff, because if I ever had my car stolen, they would ask me, what kind of car did you have? And I would say blue. are red. I mean, I don't know makes of cars or anything. And they'd say, well, what did the guy look like? Well, he was white. He had hair. And they're like, wait, now I think he had a green shirt on. So yeah, my memory and everything that goes around with me describing stuff. And y'all laugh at me sometimes on USWA podcast, but I don't remember shit. I don't put it in order, in chronological order. So I don't do it that way. But we're going to try to here. I actually made an outline for this. Was it really that good? We're going to talk about one of the most popular, one of the most famous wrestling. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Most famous wrestlers in the business ever. Contributing to Hollywood and all that, talking about that. But we're right smack in the middle of the 6th annual ROCKTOBER. And what we do in ROCKTOBER is we have a music podcast, and then we do something else with the wrestling podcast. And when we first started this, the first year we did a ROCKTOBER, and we did a music podcast, and then we did something about The Rock. Mm-hmm. So I said it would be fun since Josh joined me earlier this week on the music podcast. You joined me. So USWA co-host right here talking about, USWA in 1996. And we're going to take a quick look at The Rock and, kind of give you and me some kind of, by just looking at those matches, did we think he was going to be such a big star? And I'll tell a funny Bruno story about that. But I looked up some dates, and he arrives in June of 1996, 24 years old. This is not the first time he's been in Memphis, as he tells the story on Young Rock, but he's told this story many a times. His dad when he was 15, came into Memphis, and I'll tell a short story about that at halftime, and he stayed with Downtown Bruno. Mm-hmm. His dad dropped him off. He didn't have anywhere to live, so Downtown Bruno took him under his wing, and apparently he stayed with Bruno when he came in 96 to stay only a few months there. Now, this is funny. Some of his first matches, and the best I can tell, his first match ever was against Brook and Brawler at Superstars TV taping. So I'm assuming that's a dark match. And then he went against Skip. Who was Skip?
That was Candido.
Candido. He went against Skip at a dark match. And that was in March. But then when he arrived here in Memphis, in USWA, he arrived in Nashville to wrestle Yoshi Kwan. Chris Champion.
Yeah.
So he worked Chris Champion. Then they did a show in Cooksville that same week. The next night he wrestled the Punisher, who was Bull Buchanan. 2 nights later, he was in Louisville, Kentucky, wrestling Tony Falk. And then at the Mid-South Coliseum, he wrestled Tony Falk again. So he then came into TV to do television. And we got the first match here for television, but I wanted us to listen to his first ever promo before we watched the first ever match. But this is his first ever promo. Here we go.
The team, Brian Christopher, Flex Kavana.
Dave, real quick before we get this match started, I just wanted to come over here and introduce you, and introduce Lance, and introduce all the fans to this man right here. This is Flex Kavana, baby. Oh, yeah.
Brian Christopher at his best, huh?
Jerry Lawler, Bill Dundee, I heard what you said. This man heard what you said. You said that you make up.
Brian was
for the
beloved
lack of
right
big
here, so
muscles with
who
your
better
ability?
than to
Will you make up for
introduce
the
him?
lack of big muscles with your big fat mouths? And me and Flex
Now,
are gonna shut
what
up
gets
for
me
you
is
today,
two
and we're
standing
walking
right
out
there
here
together.
the
You
new
see how big the Rock
USWA
is?
Tag
Oh, yeah.
Team Champions.
You know, it's as simple as this. It's very short, quick, and simple. We're very naughty by nature, and we're very violent by decision. You know what? I'm done talking. Get ready, because here we come.
Thank God.
How about it? How about it there, Gene? Was that a hell of a promo or what?
Oh, it'd be a good one.
Anybody who says they watched Flex Kavana and knew he was going to be a megastar is full of shit. I don't know if you've ever heard him talk about it, but Wolfie has talked about it on his podcast. It's in his book. Me and him talked about it when we were going over things for his book. But the night before his first TV in maybe not Jonesboro, but one of the towns, PG-13 wrestled Flex and Bart Sawyer. And Wolfie said that when they got in the ring, he went to give Rocky a hip toss. And Rocky put his arm down and he did like a cartwheel. Like he turned the flip for the hip toss. He put his arm down and did like a cartwheel. And then he tried to go for another like very, very basic move. And he botched that. And Wolfie says he went over to the corner and asked Jamie, he's like, I thought you said this is Rocky Johnson's kid. And Jamie said, that's what Randy said. Wolfie said, he's the shits. He's never going to make it. And Jamie goes, hell no. And so he said they got back to the hotel that night and they called Randy. And Randy's like, so how's Rocky's kid? And Wolfie said, he's fucking terrible. He's never going to make it, dude. That guy's the shits.
Oh, yeah. No, I was the guy that said, what was it? Kurt Angle. He wasn't going. I saw Kurt Angle. He wasn't going to be that good, but that Stan Stasiak boy, he was going to be a huge star. But
yeah,
I would think I was kind of wrong on that. I find it funny. Bruno tells me the story of told me with me and him talking one time on the phone, and he says, yeah, he came in here, and Rocky dropped him off, and I let him stay at my house, and he just pauses for a minute, and he goes, BT, I didn't know he was going to be a big star. And I was like, yeah, Bruno, we know you didn't know that. You're a nice guy. He wanted me to put him over as a nice guy,
Yeah.
I didn't know he was going to be a big star. But let's take a look at his first match on Memphis television. If you're not watching the video, we're going to talk during the whole time. It's not like it's really a watch along. We're just going to be talking about The Rock and everything. But the video will be up so that everybody can actually look.
For real, isn't it, Dave? I got to tell you, when you got a team, Brian Christopher, Flex Kavana.
Well,
real quick before we
here we go.
For the team of Lawler and Dundee, Lance, keep your eye on
first again.
Some of the
Yeah, edit that
right. That Lawler
Sure,
and especially Dundee have used in the match. I was a little shocked last week
So,
at some of the things that I saw going on as they won the title.
They've got high hopes for the kid because his very first television match, he's teaming with Brian Christopher and he's wrestling Jerry Lawler and Bill Dundee.
Exactly. I mean, I saw that. I was like, wait, this is his first match? Tell me something. I'm watching this, and if I can remember, it's called the Tennessee spot. Is that now? What is that? It's body slam, hip.
Yeah, the Tennessee spot is where they'll go to lock up, they'll arm drag, and then a hip toss, and then a body slam by the heel. And then the heel will slip up, and the babyface will hit all three in succession. Where like the heel does one, and then they circle around, stop, sell it. They do the other one, and then the third one. But then immediately the babyface will arm drag. He'll come up into a hip toss, and he'll come back up into the body slam.
Right. I was watching this, and I said, this is kind of, they're getting a few body slams in, and then we see babyface doing everything. Lawler and Dundee were tag team champs at this time, and heels. Apparently, they had just turned heels. Was this one of those? Was Lawler a heel in WWE at the time this was going on? I can't remember.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure he was. Pretty sure Lawler was heel in WWF, and I forget what the circumstances were here in Memphis because Bill actually turned to join him rather than the other way around. And then they feuded with Brian and various partners, and it just happened to be they just turned right when Flex Kavana come in, and he started out teaming with Brian, and then of course he quickly ends up with Bart Sawyer. What an odd team that was.
It was an odd team, but they, and I've never heard him talk about Bart. And man, he took Lawler's head off there. If you're watching the video, Brian took Lawler's head off.
Lawler went for a hip toss, and Lawler hit him with Brian hit him with like the Jake Roberts short clothesline.
Jeez. And you see who the referee is? Bill
Yes.
Rush, our friend Bill Rush that we saw destroyed on the USWA podcast a couple weeks ago.
Bill Rush 2 inches shorter after that pile driver from the second row.
In 1991, this is 96, so he's still alive, y'all. I did reach out to him. I'm going to talk to him, and that'll be on the probably already aired on the USWA podcast. Talking about that.
We're fixing to see The Rock get tagged in.
So young.
Here comes Flex Kavana. First look at
Young, dumb, and full of, well, you know what it is. Actually, he looks really good here, Gene. I'm going to spoiler alert. BT the spoiler here. I thought he looked pretty good.
I mean, he looks good
Looks like
for
a
a Memphis rookie babyface, but I'm saying anybody who are like, oh, yeah, as soon as I laid eyes on him, I knew he was going to be a big-ass star. Like, no, you didn't. Because he didn't even look like a big star when he came to WWF, when he was Rocky Maivia with that dumbass outfit and that god-awful hairdo. It's like, well, this is never going to get over. We're seeing some of his athletic ability. We got freaking 2 leapfrogs and
2 kip-ups.
Kip-ups, arm drags.
And Lance and Dave are putting him over big time, y'all. I'll put the link of this video in the description of the podcast in case you want to just go watch the videos instead of watching them along with us. But man, the commentary, they're just putting him over big time.
Yeah, you can tell that he was sent to Memphis with the instructions, get this guy over, get this guy ready as quick as you can. And everything. This is our first time seeing him, and like you said, you know, he's looking good in the ring. The announcers are putting him over, and you know, we know from experience over the years, Lance and Dave will, if somebody goes in there and shits the bed, they'll acknowledge it. You know, they won't bury him, but they'll acknowledge when things don't look good or go right.
I love it that, you know, Jerry and Bill are putting the kid over big time, especially Bill. Bill does a couple of tests of strength because Rocky throws him across the ring.
I'm sure Bill was hoping Vince might see some of this and bring him in for something like Lawler had. But
Bill's got that dye job in on this one, boy. It looks like a brand new one.
But there was no chance of him coming to manage Regal as Sir William because now Regal's name was William, so that was kind of out.
This reminded me of we talk about this on the USWA podcast, but reminded me. Well, Lance actually said not a really good drop kicker. Dave did, so they didn't
that's
put
a good
the
call
drop
because I mean, he hit Bill Dundee in the waist. If you can't hit Bill Dundee in the chest with the drop kick, you're too low. So, of course, now Dave's making excuses. Well, Dundee was close to him, so he didn't have time to get up.
I guess I've always compared, you know, I was going to say this reminded me of a spot show match is what it does. It just, the whole psychology and everything is spot show. But I always compared guys, I guess, to Lawler and Dundee because I was around them. But when you see other guys in the ring with them, you kind of see, because me and Lawler are pretty much the same size guy.
Yeah.
And The Rock is just tired over him. It's like the first time I met Billy Gunn, I thought, what the hell? I never thought Billy was that big. And it's almost like I compare him to everybody he works now. I'm able to see what size they are.
Yeah, I did not realize Billy Gunn was that big. I'll tell you when it struck me when Billy Gunn was as big as he is. Was it All In?
Yep.
When he got nose to forehead with Michael Elgin, and he was taller and bigger. I was like, holy crap. I didn't realize Billy Gunn's that damn big. But Road Dogg's bigger than you think he is, too, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was in the bathroom with Billy Gunn. That's when I noticed he was really big. So, yeah.
Hate to know.
I just walked out. I just completely walked out. He's at the urinal, and I was scared.
You just pissed your pants and went home, right?
I said, good God. I mean, his back was – look. Still putting them over.
I wish we would have got more time in the USWA with Rocky, and he'd have been able to get a little more seasoning in Memphis, and maybe even had a chance to do some heel stuff in Memphis before he went on to WWF. But they were needing some baby faces up there, so they brought him on up.
I thought that was a sorry hot take.
Yes.
I would have said, okay, kid, come here. Let's me and you talk. Here's how you do a hot take.
Taking a shot first from Christopher, then from Kavana. A little coconut crush there as
a coconut crunch.
That's almost as good as Michael St. John's name for the DDT the other day. I can't think of it. All right. Well, they got there.
A double abdominal stretch on Dundee and Lawler.
For some reason, I laughed. He hit Bill. I was like, oh, God, Bill always got his ass whipped. What the hell?
Kavana holding on to the abdominal stretches. Dundee reached out, Dave, and just hammered him with that left hand.
That's one of those things we were talking about. Dundee.
Yeah, man, look at Bill. He is really selling it with his feet.
Yeah.
And
What a
this is,
finish. Double
yeah,
abdominal
well, it's
stretch.
kind of a
DQ.
dusty finish, ain't it? I mean, Brian Christopher makes the people think they won the tag belts from the abdominal stretches.
Abominable.
You know what the hell I'm
The
talking
abominal
about.
snowman stretch. Rocky's hugging him like they just won him.
Yep.
No, afraid not.
Because the referee turned around and signaled the bell. Of course, it could have been submission on the legal man in the ring, and now Rush is saying they are the winners.
Yep, they were the winners.
This is ridiculous, Dave. They should be the champions in there.
Well, I hate to see that, and the belts don't change hands on the disqualification, but really the referee had no choice. When he is hammered like that, all he can do is disqualify Dundee and Lawler, and there should be a fine attached to it, too.
Should be a fine, damn it. He hit the
Fine,
referee.
suspended.
Yeah.
Kicked him in the nuts.
We also watched a quick match, and the reason why I had you watch that, which I thought was funny, we had Brick and Reggie B going against Bart and The Rock there, but we had the Moondogs jump in. We're not going to watch that, but did you see them knock the shit out of Rocky Maivia?
Yeah, that was his
Flex
official
Kavana.
welcome to Memphis. Meet the Moondogs. Because, Bill and Lawler are going to be pretty easy on you, but not the Moondogs.
I was like, damn, he broke that board on. Do you not know who his daddy is? I thought it was neat that we had kind of Lawler, who has his own son he's going against. You got Dundee in there, whose also son is in the business. And then you got Flex Kavana, who, his dad's been pretty popular in the wrestling business also. So it was a little bit of everything right there.
But I'm sure Larry's like, Rocky Johnson don't have a job in this business. He can't do shit for me. I'll beat the hell out of his kid.
That's what I was thinking too. Larry don't give a shit. Never did. So
No.
There you go. He didn't never really give a shit of who he was wrestling or what. I had a lot of respect for him, but I didn't want to take no chair. Don't take no chair from no Moondog. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we are going to talk. We're going to halftime, and I got a couple of stories about The Rock, and then we'll talk about an interview, which I'm going to play it, and then we're going to watch the last match also that he had in Memphis, and it's got a unique story to it. All right, we'll be back right after this.
Don't miss Memphis Wrestling Live. Sunday, November 2nd, Frankie Kazarian is coming to Memphis Wrestling. Plus, viral sensation, Famous Amos. All tickets are on sale now. Get yours right now at memphiswrestling.tv.
Get ready, wrestling fans. MCW is bringing you the action like never before. Experience the high-flying moves, the bone-crushing slams, and the rivals that can only be settled inside the square ring. This is family-friendly live professional wrestling at its very best. Don't just hear about it, be there when the superstars of MCW collide in unforgettable matches you'll talk about for weeks. Tickets are affordable, the action's non-stop, and the excitement is guaranteed. MCW Wrestling, where the future of wrestling happens now. Be there!
Relive the glory days of Memphis wrestling with the Retro Wrestling Review USWA podcast. Each week, we go back in time to review USWA Championship Wrestling from the 1990s, episode by episode. Join us for watch-alongs, behind-the-scenes stories, and exclusive interviews with people who were there and lived it. Whether you grew up watching it or you're discovering it for the first time, this podcast is your ringside seat Memphis wrestling history. It's all a part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Listen now at USWApodcast.com.
All right, halftime. I sent you a note, and I didn't know, do you have any stories of, what do they call it, 7 degrees, kind of 7 degrees of Flex Kavana, except
Not
for the
really.
Wolfie story there?
No, not really. I've never really had any dealings with The Rock or anybody directly related to The Rock. So no, I didn't really have anything to offer there.
Doug has a match up on YouTube. He's tagging with The Rock. It's him. It's in a 6-man tag. But Doug, I wonder, that might be one of those questions to send to that podcast to ask him what he thought about Flex. I have a few stories. I told this story on another podcast, but I had met Rocky Johnson when he stayed. I had met Rocky Johnson before, but I had been cordial with him, talking to him every time I saw him at the Piggly Wiggly. And we talked about this on WTF. But one of the first, Walking Tall was the first movie. The Rock got really small, and I had said something to him about The Rock being small, and he said, first he had to show me the truck that Dewey had bought him, which was a brand new something. And then he said, Dewey don't
Ford
have to
F-250 or something
like that. Yeah. And then he told me Dewey don't have to be big to be in Hollywood. So I always remember that, especially when we saw him recently, the Skinny Rock. I also had, this was the weirdest thing, but me and Bruno used to correspond email a lot when I was doing the website.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes he would send me the NEW results, or he would send me a joke or something. And somehow he forwarded something, and all the email addresses were still there. And for a time period, I had The Rock's shoot email. So I emailed him, and I said, no, I didn't.
How many pictures of your penis did you send Dwayne Johnson?
I sent him a dick pic, and I said, what do you think? But yeah, it was just one of those things where I was like, wait. Yeah, it is. It's his email address. One of the
was
first
it like the Great One DJ at something, or
it was Dwayne Johnson's what it was, and it had a number on it. I can't remember what it was.
Dwayne Johnson probably 69 or something
like. No, it was easy. It wasn't Hotmail. It was Dwayne Johnson Big Boy 69
at AOL.com.
That's right. And one of the first times I met Lawler, I had met him in Blavo, Arkansas, and we had talked. But then I was at a spot show, and it's just really weird, the things that happened at that show. But he let me come backstage. I took a lot of pictures of him and Dundee, and Rocky Johnson was there, but I never really said anything to Rocky. But when Lawler got ready to go through the curtain, and it was a 6-man tag. It was Dundee, Rocky Johnson, and Jerry Lawler against, and I don't know who it was, but Paulie Dangerously was managing ever who it was. And he said, "You go out with us." I'm like, huh? I was like, I was just back there bullshitting, really. So it's Rocky Johnson steps out, Bill Dundee, and Brian Trammell, along with Jerry Lawler. So there you go. That was my first entrance outside the dressing room of a wrestling show.
Now, I haven't had any interaction with The Rock, but now I did have one interaction with Rocky Johnson.
Oh, wow.
Which wasn't great.
Tell it.
He was at one of Greg Price's NWA conventions when me and Rosie was going every year. And so he was part of the big ticket thing where if you was the VIP, you got like an autograph from all these different people, and he was amongst them. And so Scott Teal had his crowbar press table over there, and he had a really nice 8x10 of Rocky wearing the old Southern heavyweight title, like the square, plates on it.
Right.
Oh, cool. I told Rosie, I was like, I'll buy this from Scott and I'll get Rocky to sign it. And so I get the picture and I stand in line, and everybody else, I'm handing them whatever pictures or programs or whatever. And they're, oh, hey, good to see you. You're having a good time, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's really pleasant. I set this picture down in front of Rocky Johnson. He glares at it, looks up at me, and he goes, "Where the hell you get this picture?"
Oh, wow.
Where the hell did he get it? I said, he took it. Well, he don't have no right to sell this. He took the picture. I don't care if it's a picture of me. If he's selling it, I need to get a cut of it. I was like, you can talk to him about that. I just need you to sign the damn thing. And he's like, I shouldn't sign it. I'm like, okay, then don't. I reached down to grab it, and then he grabbed it back from me, and he scribbles his name on there and slides it back across the table. Said, you tell that man he don't need to be selling my damn picture. I was like, sure, will do. And we went on to the next person, and Rosie's like, God, what an asshole. I was like, yeah. So eventually I bump into Scott in the hall. I was like, hey. I was like, man, fucking Rocky Johnson about had an aneurysm when I put that picture down in front of him. He's like, why? I was like, he said you didn't have any right to sell it. He goes, I took the picture. I go, I know, I told him that. And he said that even if you took it, you should have had to pay him to sell it to anybody. And Scott just kind of shook his head. He's like, sorry about that, man. I was like, no, dude, it's fine. I was like, just everybody in there was super nice from freaking, I mean, you name it. Even Ken Patera wasn't a prick, I said from, freaking.
Well, they got his McDonald's.
It's cool. Right, Rocky Johnson's a fucking prick. But anyway. That's my one interaction with Rocky Johnson, and needless to say, I wasn't impressed. So
let me just say, I'm going to say this as nicely as I can about Rocky Johnson. He was corny as fuck. And if you watch any of the Rock interviews, as you watch them, as he goes through Hollywood, he gets older. As he gets older, The Rock is corny as fuck, y'all. He tells some of the craziest stories, and I had to go double check the age he was when Rocky Johnson was in here, and plus all that stuff, because I did not believe that he was actually 15, and I looked through the years. I did all this fact checking because that was Rocky Johnson, and he'll just think about this. He took his son and just gave him to somebody when he was 15 years old so that he didn't have to deal with him. So
Bruno, of all people. But I mean, Bruno's a great guy, but he didn't seem like the kind of guy at that age that probably would have been able to take care of himself and somebody's son. But he did. And, and to Rock's credit, he's never forgotten that. He's taking care of Bruno. He bought him that truck. Bruno could pick up his phone any day of the week and call him, and he would answer, hey, Dewey, what's up? And he would answer him, and if he needed something, he'd give it to him. So kudos to him for that. He doesn't forget where he came from. But, watching young Rock, you could even see, he more or less depicted his dad as somewhat that carny guy. Not to the extent that he really was, but it was there. You could read between the lines and see kind of what kind of guy he was, by the way.
Especially if you're on this side. If you've been in the business and you've been around wrestling, you could see that character was very close to him, but he was actually worse than that.
Yeah. It was kind. Yeah, it was definitely kind. And then it doesn't get into all the reasons why he, kind of got shunned out of the business at some point.
Right. All right, guys, that was halftime. Halftime. All right, halftime, and now we're back. I wanted to show this because I want to talk a little bit about the whole thing here. There's a promo with Bart Sawyer. Now, Bart and him won the USWA tag team titles. They lost them to Lawler and Dundee, right? They also lost them to Lawler. I don't know, but they also lost them to the Moondogs,
feuded,
too.
I was gonna say they feuded around the horn with Brick and Reggie, and I think Brickhouse and Reggie won them from them at some point.
Yeah, they did. I'm pretty sure, and I think the Moondogs ended up beating them also for the titles. And Lawler and Dundee, maybe they had them, and I don't know. They did a tournament for them, so maybe, and that's how they won them first. But let's take a look at these two guys, and I got something I want to comment on.
Won the tournament at the last day at the Coliseum. We won for the people, Jerry Lawler. You're a big superstar.
All these are different volumes.
And talk.
Good Dave Brown's like, settle down, dude.
This is not a night at the Improv. Scott Bowden.
You can barely hear that.
Listen close. When you can lace up.
But Bart Sawyer, what do you remember about this guy? I know he was from
you can get in the ring.
From Portland, and at one time he had his hair like Bart Simpson, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to remember what his actual name was because he didn't start out as Bart Sawyer. He got the Bart when he started having the Bart Simpson hairdo. But I can't remember what his actual name was prior to that.
Probably cost you the belt.
Let me tell you something about that.
Sound sucks on this, but he seems to be getting a little bit more confidence on the microphone in this promo, and also talking about he's putting his hair up. They end up winning the belts back. They had lost the tag team belts. But he talked about something in the promo. Like I said, I can't do anything about the sound.
Not only are the belts on
but
the
the
line,
big
but there's
one.
another very important
So we talked
stipulation,
about
Flex,
this
and
on the
that is your hair is gonna be
USWA
up.
podcast, but we probably got some listeners here that will be listening to it that don't listen to our USWA. Tell me about the big one. How did they get to the big one? And tell that little short story about the big one when you visited the big one.
Monday night, the tag team
Well,
on the line,
I
so
don't.
it's either the hair
At this
or the
point,
belts.
I don't remember what the circumstances were for them leaving the Coliseum, other than they just couldn't afford it. But the big one was known around Memphis as a big old flea market. The same flea market like it would load up and come to Tupelo, everybody went to and around the area. But here you'll always say the Big One Expo Center to make it sound a little better. But when you went to it, across the wall, it was painted in huge letters, Big One Flea Market. And, it was just kind of surreal. You would go there, like I went and saw Sid and Lawler wrestle at the Big One Flea Market, and several big matches there. And of course, I don't know that The Rock set foot in the Mid-South Coliseum as Flex Kavana. I think they were at the Big One.
One time. He was there one time when he first came in. He worked Tony Falk at the Mid-South Coliseum.
Okay, because I was gonna say I know he comes back for Power Pro and wrestles Brian there as The Rock a couple of years later. But yeah, for the most part, him and Bart Sawyer here was wrestling over there at the Big One Expo Center. But again, kind of like what we've talked about on the USWA show, it kind of still looked better on TV to see a crowded small venue than a 3/4 of the way empty Mid-South Coliseum. So
kind of what AEW's done now. But then there's all kinds of ways they get pictures out and you get to see all the empty seats. Even of a small arena, the sound is better. They sounds like there's people in the crowd and they are making noise, but unfortunately we do have Twitter now to show us exactly how many people are there. Yeah. I gave you a match. It was a real quick match. Coco Ware was in it, Reggie B. Fine and Brickhouse, and I got to laughing when I was watching it. Brickhouse's hair. It was combed out. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I was on some shows with him at different times where he had his hair like that, and it was always you're always taken aback when you walk in the dressing room like, oh shit, what have you done to your hair, Brick? He would do that every so often. for whatever reason.
Just straight. Yeah, they ended up with that match was only about 3 minutes long, and I also thought it was fun to see Downtown Bruno as the referee. And they did. Coco got the pin on Leon Downs, was Reggie B. Fine and Brickhouse Brown's partner. Which I thought was Leon Downs. We've seen him do a lot of stuff. I spoke to him. I'm going to try to get him actually on some kind of special show or something, just talking about doing his jobs in USWA. I love the idea that they tried their best to get a place that was going like the big one, but they did always make a big deal about it. So, what happens is, and you said you believe they sent The Rock down and said, hey, we're going to need him very quickly, get him some matches. And I talked at the very front that he stayed a couple of months, and he did have, he worked steady. And, they had spot shows at the time. But then something happened, and they get a call, and it's time for The Rock to go be Rocky Maivia in the WWE. And at the time, Lawler is booking. And so Lawler comes up with this idea
and Flex Kavana,
for
the
television.
match just about to happen.
That's right, Dave. When they told me earlier this week that I was going to wrestle Jerry the King Lawler, I did a little thinking, Dave. And I thought to myself, well, you know what? Week in and week out, whether it's here in the USWA,
he comes out and pretty much says, hey, Lawler's always out here running his mouth. And I thought this promo was,
if Jerry Lawler,
no, it wasn't The Rock, Rock says
pretty well.
But it was very well spoken. What's he got on his nose? Is that white stuff, that surfer stuff?
Probably. But yeah, if you watch that first promo you showed where Brian introduced him up to this one just a few weeks later, he had come a long way.
He's not always that easy to convince, and I'm sure the promoters would like time to promote the title match and all of that. But it sounds like a wonderful idea.
He's going to try. He wants a world title shot, and Lawler comes out with Scott Bowden, who both of us knew
play a little mind game with the King.
Was one of my favorite
managers.
managers.
To make a few little witty
just
comments.
hell of a nice guy.
Have his time trying to be witty. That makes him a half-wit, right?
So Lawler comes up with this idea. That we're going to do a loser league town, which I thought was really smart. We're going to do it on television.
So let me tell you, you're not going to be able to get one up on the King.
We're going to, the fan, he'll go to WWE because he's going to leave town, and Lawler will be able to show him beating The Rock in the future.
Yeah, go with all them other people. He's got footage of him beating.
Yeah. I thought. When we get to watching it here, I thought one of the most unusual things happened in this match that I don't ever remember seeing on Memphis Wrestling. I may be wrong, but so at the time this match is going into the ring on a 90-minute Memphis show, there's not a lot of time.
Yeah.
But we're going to go into the ring, and if you watch this and are able to listen to it, like I said, I'm not going to turn it up. I'm just going to leave it down so we watch it. But expiration of time. All right, so Memphis Wrestling, if you never watched Memphis Wrestling back in the day, it's expiration of time is the last match on television. Sometimes they get one fall, sometimes they get two falls, sometimes they barely get one fall in. But they're going to the ring with very little TV time to put Lawler over The Rock.
Yeah.
And you listen to Dave and Lance trying to ring the bell and go for them to finish up because they don't have a lot of time. And they go to a commercial break and come back, and they're still in the ring. Do you ever remember them doing that?
No.
I couldn't either. All the years of I knew that when it went to the expiration of the time, I knew that we would get maybe a fall. We hardly ever got two falls, but sometimes we did.
Usually only if it was a jobbers.
The match is done.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Let's go to the ring. Downtown Bruno in the ring.
Downtown Bruno also, the referee here. talked about Bruno.
I mean, there were times where you start an expiration time match, they would lock up, somebody get put in a side headlock, and Lance would ring the bell and go, well, we're out of time.
Right.
Especially if it was two main event guys.
Heck of an opportunity right here today. One of the few opportunities
I love that belt. I want to
Bruno
replicate that
received
belt.
in his wrestling career to have a chance.
Yeah, I like that
To
belt too.
be
I'm
the
not huge.
unified world
into that.
heavyweight
Never have.
champion. It's long
I don't collect
Kavana,
those.
unified
I got some
world
Funko
title
Pops
is
over
on the
here,
line
but that's about it.
versus
And I don't collect them anymore. I used to do those dollar gimmick table photographs, you know.
Time is winding down.
I've got
It's
a
actually the time match here.
Flex Kavana promo shot from the merch table. And I don't know how I ended up with it because I was not around the business during this time period. So, and it's signed, but I don't think it's the real rock. I don't think it's the rock screens. I think someone just put the rock in there.
We've actually got about, it's less than a minute
We already got
to
some
go
interference
before we've
going
gotta
on
take
in
a
this
break.
match. Also, you see
I wish we had more time for this.
this is when Dowden's holding his trunks.
And that's just insurmountable for him.
Yeah, time is running a little funny here right now.
Hey, telling him, man.
Well, we've had to.
Yeah, I forgot.
Flex
Corey was
Kavana
there.
has left
Oh,
the
we're gonna
area.
go Corey in
We're
there.
going to have to take a break here. Oh, here
See,
comes
listen
Bart
to him
Sawyer
talking
out,
about. I
his
said
former
Lance,
partner.
but it's Corey. And
We,
we got to
we
take a
have to
break.
take
We
a
got to
break.
take a break.
We're going to have to ring the bell
Lance
here.
was outside smoking.
We're at the ring the bell.
Talk about your excitement. We had to cut away for the commercials. They just kept
No,
going.
they didn't. They
The bell
didn't
is
stop
not
it, which I
sounded
thought
to
was
end the
hilarious.
match.
I was
They
like,
are
oh
still
no,
underway.
Lawler said we're
Unified
working.
World title at stake. Lawler put the belt at stake. If Flex Kavana loses, he's out of the USWA, and they have been battling.
That hair, boy.
Scott Bowden, what is he doing?
Yeah, he
He's
needs
in
to
the
leave
ring.
that hair,
Bart
Matt.
Sawyer pulls him back out of the ring. Bart Sawyer was brought
Oh,
in
Bart
by
Sawyer's
Kavana.
out to
Oh.
take care of Scott Bowden.
Bowden took a Randy Hales bump on that one.
Oh, he has him pinned. The Rock has
Oh.
Lawler pinned in the ring.
Damn it, Bruno.
Before we're going to have to leave the air.
Don't look yet, Bruno. Don't look yet.
Just missed the chance to be the world
Uh-oh.
champion.
Lawler's going in the tights.
Kavana
Oh.
had Lawler, and the
Lawler used that fake foreign object. He used to use it on spot
Oh,
shows.
ridiculous.
Ah, there we go. Pile driver.
That hair should have protected him, honestly.
Bruno's in
The
there.
spring.
In 1, 2, 3.
There we go.
Kavana's gone. We gotta go.
We got him out of
For
Memphis
Corey
to went to the WWE, and as they say, the realest history.
are selected and paid by
But Gene, you know, we got to answer the question by just looking at what we looked at. We're actually in a spot where we also know what happened to this guy and know the future. But was his run here? It was short, but was it really that good when you talk about Flex Kavana?
I mean, I think it was good just because of the improvement we saw. We saw that promo, on the first appearance, and then just a few short weeks later, the promo had improved greatly. He looked like he should be in a main event with Jerry Lawler in that last match. And we've seen people, in 1993, we seen them send down that freaking rugby player or whatever. And, they let him wrestle Tony Falk every week for 2 months. And then they shipped him back to wherever he came from. So, it was clear that he was definitely on the fast track. He comes straight into working with Lawler and Dundee, and he held his own. So, yeah, I mean, did this run tell you that he was going to go and be the biggest action hero in the world? No. Did I think from this at the time that he'd even go be a main eventer in WWF? No. But he definitely, you knew he had something based on how quickly he caught on and how he looked from the first match to the last match. Yeah, I think it's good. I just wish he'd had more time.
I agree. He's one of those guys where you think, well, he's got potential. And also with the size, you're looking at a guy at that time in the business. That's what it was all about. Still is kind of that for me when it comes to guys that mean something. But big guy, had the genes per se, and then when that charisma hit, it was all over. When he become confident and he was able to do what he wanted to do, it was all over. All right, guys, yeah. Was it really that good? Hell yeah, I enjoyed this with Flex Kavana. Fun stuff, and we got to look at him with some legends, Memphis wrestling legends, and ending his Memphis career. Like you said, he did come back for the Coliseum as The Rock, but he ended his career there in USWA 1, 2, 3. And I know this might surprise people, but the King won, so that always happens.
I was shocked. But hey, maybe since people are watching these on YouTube and they're liking them and commenting on them, maybe we bring this back as a once a month thing. Was it really that good? And maybe alternate it to replace the other show we were trying to do there, the CWA thing, or maybe we do a little of both when we can. I don't know, but I like this format, and I like being able to look at someone through different stages like this, as we've done with Stan Frazier and Snowman and different people. So hopefully this sticks around at least.
When this first started, I would send you shitty cards to watch.
Originally I felt like this was like a rib on me of like, let's show Gene the shittiest cards I can find and see if he'll actually sit through them, and then we'll ask him if they were any good and be shocked when he didn't like them. That's what the first 8 episodes felt like. And then finally we turned the corner and it started getting better.
I think, the Stan Frazier, the Snowman, all of those, Kevin Steen, those are the ones that have the most downloads. They really like listening to us talk about a certain person, and whether we it's just fondly. Most of the time when you do look at something like World Class or a big WWE main event or a Memphis show just picked out of nowhere, it really isn't that good. The standard's not as what you remember it to be, as we talked earlier in the show. All right, guys, same bad time, same bad channel on the best little wrestling podcast in the business. Be there, and as everyone knows, I love my mama.
Me too.